afternoon. This is Dan Franklin with SIS, and I'd like to introduce you to our continuing education series for SIS. Today we're going to be bringing in Solver to talk about BI360, and the title of the webinar is called Enabling World-Class Decisions with BI360. Welcome, everybody. Let's talk just a little bit about SIS before we start our BI360 presentation. SIS, Strategic Industry Solutions, is a Microsoft partner, and we were founded in 1996 in Duluth, Georgia, just outside of Atlanta. We deliver business solutions that are focused on project and service-driven companies, delivering applications across the enterprise and better visibility and efficiency with our applications and solutions. SIS is a Microsoft partner, so we provide all of your value-added services along with the products. We can provide current state assessments, taking a look to see how you're doing things now and under your current environment. We can do business process analysis, where we take a look and see how your business functions and adapt it to best practices based upon our experience in businesses similar to yours. We are full function. We do software design, development, and deployment. We not only carry ERP products like Microsoft Dynamics SL, AX, and D365, but we also carry CRM as well. For implementation, we can do requirements and fit gap analysis, custom application development, rapid deployments for hub and spoke rollouts or small mom and pop businesses. And we can also do on-premise or cloud deployments. Why would you want to partner with SIS? Well, we've been doing this for over 20 years. We're a gold certified partner from Microsoft. We have a dedicated support and customer care team. Our partners, our consultants, and our developers have been working with our products for many, many years. Just about everybody who works in this company are very familiar with the solutions that we provide, which is great. We understand your industry best practices and the software in order to bridge that gap between your business and the technology. We also have a broad industry-focused solution offering for Dynamics SL, CRM, D365, and Microsoft SharePoint. Our focus is your industry, not just technology. So what we want to do now is I'm going to introduce our presenter for this afternoon, Anthony Spinicchia, and he's going to introduce the next person who's going to be doing the demo. Go ahead, Anthony. Nice to hear from you today.
Thanks, Dan. I appreciate that. Yes, my name is not easy. Thanks again, Anthony Spinicchia, everyone. And maybe we've presented before some of you before, so it's a pleasure, and we thank you for attending. And my associate Amir is on the line as well. And when we get into product demo, Amir is going to guide us on that. So thanks for being here, Amir. All right, I think we have an exciting agenda. Yes, we have a theme of enabling world-class decisions, and we're going to show you how we do that. Help you and your organization make world-class decisions. We have agenda. Our agenda is on all the details. Yes, it's all about our product, who we are, and the details of our product and our applications and a lot of specifics. But in the end, everything we're going to present, hopefully, if you become a customer, will help you make better decisions. I'll be speaking about better decisions a little bit more during the presentation. So this is how it'll flow. I'll tell you very quickly about Solver, who it is that makes the product. Then we have a few slides that put the product in perspective. What applications does it address? The fact that it's a modular solution. And then we'll go into the details. What you're going to see today is new. You're going to see the BI360 Cloud and 5.0 version. So this is the first time I think we're revealing this to the SIS customer base, and I think it's very exciting for you. It's a brand new look. Of course, functionality still is the same, but enhanced and expanded. So we're going to give you that first tour of BI360 Cloud / 5.0, which means on-prem. You can go either way. So we'll do a little tour, show you what it looks like. All the access is done through a browser, so you're going to see that today. Then we have some, after we get through the product demonstration, which will be high level. We only have enough time to go high level. We can follow up with other webinars that can go into much more detail of the different portions of BI360. We'll also show you some other interesting things, like the fact that we have a very rich customer support portal. Lots of resources there. I want to give you a quick look at that. I'm going to mention our Solver and introduce our Solver Academy, which was just introduced to the world a couple months ago. This is our new guided training program. It's very exciting. We've always had a lot of resources and videos to guide you, to help do self-training that can supplement actual in-person or remote training. But the Solver Academy is now guided with testing. And also, coming up in just 2 weeks, we have our annual user conference, and I have an exciting gift for you there. If any of you are not a customer, you're a prospective customer, and you may be interested in attending our conference, I have a way that you can attend at no cost. At the end, we'll summarize. We will take questions, so please type in questions, and at the end, we'll address those questions and summarize what we've done and give you some guidance on getting in touch with the appropriate SIS representative. So this is what we're going to do today. Let's go. All right. Solver has been a company. We're now in our 22nd year. Time flies. We built a product over 20 years ago that was that built up thousands of customers. It was sold to a ERP vendor. We built another product, accumulated thousands of customers. That was sold to Microsoft. This product, BI360, our management really feels like they've hit the sweet spot in the market, and there is no intention to sell this product. We have a vision of getting to 10,000 customers and offices in permanent offices in 22 countries around the world just in the next several years. We already have permanent offices in over 12 countries today. We are growing quickly, and our customer base is growing quickly. We're growing quickly because we have partners like SIS. So ERP vendors that provide many services, as Dan described, that have a lot of trust with their customer base. And when they see it's appropriate, they recommend our product to their customers. And that's how we're achieving our growth. And it's just acceptance, market acceptance of BI360. And I think when we show you the product, you'll understand the value that it brings. Okay, so we mentioned enabling world-class decisions. You see this now. When you go to our website now, you see this theme, world-class decisions. And so our tool is very important. We're very proud of it, but it is a tool in the end to help you have better information, do better analysis, better visibility and insight into your own operations, your own market, so that you can, in the end, from middle management on up, make better decisions for the operations and future of your company. We wrote a book. We published a book that came out early this year called WorldClass Decisions. It's about 130 pages. It's written at an executive level. It is, I don't think it ever mentions our product or company in the book. It is about giving you good guidance on making better decisions for your organization. And it's available on Amazon. It's $150. It is a valuable book. But for anyone that's interested, they can email their SIS contact, and I can get you a link that will let you download it for free. But the challenges today for managers is that let's face it, there's just more and more data. We have more ability to gather data, thus there's more data. Everything's moving more quickly. We're all multitasking, wearing different hats. It's very challenging to be a manager in today's organization. When it comes to reporting, the organizations may have, again, with these different data sources, it's a challenge to be able to report on any or all of them, and certainly bringing the data together for unified views of the data from maybe different applications that go beyond SL, CRM, D365, for example, maybe your own unique industry applications, your own database, your own Excel sheets where you've gathered information. This is a challenge to manually then extract data from all these different sources, or maybe one alternative is to have a different tool for each of the different sources. This is, I hope that picture, well, I suppose some people could relate to that. It's a real challenge today. BI360, as you're going to see, gives you the ability to have one reporting tool among all of your different data sources. And this is really, this is the efficient way to do it, to automate the retrieval and updating of your data and then get current reports, like I said, whether it's one source or multiple sources. Budgeting, another challenge. Most organizations, of course, start when they do budgeting and forecasting, it's done manually. Maybe it's done by one person with a spreadsheet, but this can grow and grow and grow. There may be many people involved. You may want to involve many people. And again, the typical growth pattern in an organization is to send out a spreadsheet to different managers, ask them to complete it, send it back. Someone has to aggregate this. Then maybe when it comes to forecasting and seeing where you're performing against your forecast, maybe manually extracting data on real results and then comparing it. And then if you want to do this on a frequent basis, monthly, weekly, quarterly, it can involve a lot of work, a lot of challenges. And then add to more complexity, if you want to have multiple forecast scenarios, it can get out of hand quickly. Maybe you want to begin to gather comments, record comments permanently, maybe share, give feedback to your different people who are completing budgets. Look, I need you to revise this. Can you expand more on why you're doing this? Having a manual workflow. Needless to say, these are the challenges that organizations face when it comes to budgeting. And again, you're going to see, I think even in the short overview demo that we'll do today, you'll be able to see how, whether it's a simple or complex multi-layered budgeting model that you use, it all can be automated and be very easy to use. So I think you're going to see that today. I just want to keep moving here. You'll be able to, I think when you see it, it's better than me describing it. Okay, another important principle of BI360 is that it is a comprehensive CPM suite, means Corporate Performance Management Suite, and it's modular. So you don't have to purchase or implement the entire, all of the modules or the entire suite. You implement according to your needs. So if your big challenge that you need to resolve is having a better budgeting solution, this may be what you implement. Likewise, your driver may be reporting. You're fine. Maybe you don't do budgeting or you don't have a need for it, a solution at this time. You may need to implement reporting. So that is what you may implement. Now today also, we are seeing probably 30 to 40% of new inquiries, organizations reaching out to us, whether through our partners directly, however they come to us and they want to learn more. I would say 30, 40% are in need of a business user-friendly database, a data warehouse, a relational database, SQL-based, something to avoid cubes, something easy to manage, which is what a relational database is. And BI360 has a built-in data warehouse, and you're going to see even in this demo how easy it can be to manage. But this data warehouse can then aggregate the data from your different sources so that you could do reports that involve data from multiple sources, or like I said, budgets that involve data coming from, or forecasts that are coming from, that are comparing to multiple sources of data and doing forecasts. So it's maybe statistical. Maybe you want to even have certain metrics that combine statistics with financial results. All this can be aggregated and enabled through a data warehouse. When it comes to visualizations, we have a lot of options for you. So this, first of all, as you're going to see, when you build reports or budget input templates, you're building it. Your power users, your staff accountants are doing this in Excel. So right off the bat, you have Excel graphics available to you. Furthermore, we have a SQL connector, a global SQL connector that can allow you to, if you already have in place a data visualization tool, a Tableau, Power BI, very popular, of course, among Microsoft customers, we have a tool that enables Power BI to gain access to the data that you've organized and aggregated in the data warehouse. And there is a lot of advantages to this. We have had customers come to us just to purchase or implement a data warehouse to work in conjunction with their data visualization tool, because it can be very challenging getting access to multiple data sources with a tool. So we enable that. That's an option for you. And furthermore, we will soon be announcing for BI360 Cloud, possibly at our customer conference coming up in 2 weeks, that we will soon have an embedded dashboard tool in BI360. For those of you that have been with us in previous webinars or seen our product over years past, you've seen we have had a dashboard tool in our on-prem solution for many years. But this will now soon be, but we are now moving up from our 4X versions of BI360 to our 5.0 version of BI360. That's our next on-prem solution. And soon there will be an embedded dashboard for both cloud and on-prem with our latest version. So again, BI360, it's a comprehensive suite. It covers many applications. The advantage here, again, you're not using different tools for these different needs. One tool, learn one tool, work with one vendor, and build on your skills that you have managing this single tool. And then likewise, of course, users are scalable according to, there's different functions, different abilities of users from, like I had mentioned before, maybe the core staff accountants who build the reports or build the budget model and input templates. We call them power users. And then you have different flavors of end users. And you just get a license for a user according to their need. It's not just one license that covers all. And we think this is more cost effective for our customers. You're going to see this in action when Amir takes you on a tour of the BI360 portal, which looks like this. Okay. Now we're going to move on right to the actual presentation of BI360. So I am now going to give the screen to my associate Amir when I press the proper button. So thanks so much, Amir.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the webinar. We're now in the portion of this webinar where we're going to talk about the BI360 product. We're going to do the product demonstration. So what you see in front of you here is really the login screen for BI360. Now, keep in mind to what Anthony said, really agnostic about which way you want to go. Our tool is really meant for you to find whatever use, whether it's reporting, budgeting, soon to be visualizations in there as well, data warehousing. And likewise, we give you the option of, going cloud or on-premise. So first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to go ahead and get logged in. You can see I just have a normal web browser open, Google Chrome. You could use any web browser that you prefer for this experience, Safari. You can also use your phone, tablets. So if you're in the airport, you're on the go, you need to run a report, you can certainly do that as well. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and get logged in here. Now, what we're going to look at is, the first thing that happens once you log in is you're going to see that you get moved into what we call the home page of BI360. And this home page really encompasses all of the different things that you think are important to you as a user. So for me, I can see that I have lots and lots of videos here embedded, right? But this white space is going to allow you to really customize it the way that you think is important for that user. So I always like to say, if it's a new hire, you can put some links in there to org charts, maybe how your organizations run, maybe some news feed about your company, maybe some videos on BI360 and some other tools that you can use, some internal training videos, so they can get up to speed. In the future, you're going to be able to embed your dashboards and KPIs just right here in the home page as well. Now, there's also one other button here called notifications at the top right. Now, I don't have any, but if there were any, let's just say Anthony over here was sending me some reports to review, or I had requested some reports, or I was sending him reports. If I had gotten anything new in my queue, it would show up here like a little red bubble, just like as if you were to get a text message on your phone or an email in your inbox. Okay. Now let's move on. Let's go to the data warehouse. Now, what we're going to talk about here is really, when we're talking about Solver and its data warehousing capabilities, this is one of the things that, we really shine in. And the reason I say that is because this is, like Anthony mentioned before, a relational database. But what ends up happening is we have various connectors for, different systems, whether you're on various, Microsoft systems or other. We can connect to those systems, and we can bring in that data on a scheduled basis, whether that is, weekly, nightly, monthly. Maybe you want it every couple of hours, right? Because the data has to be relatively fresh. Or if you wanted to, you can go and run those things on demand. And it's all over here under the integrations. You can see I just have some simple ones here, but I could always run these on demand. So let's say I'm closing my books. I want to go ahead and get the latest, greatest financial information into my system. I can go ahead and run these integrations. It's going to pull in all that data. And depending on the data types, now it doesn't have to be just financial. It could be operational data as well. It's going to get modeled into what we call a different module. And you can think of module as, the more technical term would be a fact set, right? And a fact set means a set of data that is unique to whatever the transactions you're looking at. So for example, if I look at payroll, you can see that the dimensions here, they're going to be very similar across a lot of these modules. So for example, general ledger has account, department, entity. You can see my payroll also has account, department, entity. And entity is just another way of saying company or company ID for consolidation purposes. Period, scenario, etc. So the reason that these are all in different tables, you see the same dimensions across several different tables, is because that grain of data exists all over the place. I can see I have payroll accounts. Typically if you're looking at a general ledger or chart of accounts, there's going to be some accounts dedicated to payroll expenses. There are going to be some dedicated to receivables, some to payables, so forth and so on. So you can see that the grain of data might vary. Like in payroll, I'm looking at bonuses, salaries, total hours. General ledgers typically period balances, changes, credits, debits, net amounts. Receivables are how much I'm getting from my customers and then how much I'm paying out to my vendors, for example. So the grain of data is a little bit different, but it's all relatable based on these dimensions. And that's what we mean when we say it's a relational. That's the relational part of a relational database. So I can actually click on any one of these account tables. This all goes to the same thing. But we have a nice little overview panel here. And, again, this is really made for the end user to be able to go in and not rely on IT to do anything. So, once you have this all set up, you can go in here and you can see that, I have my chart of accounts. That's all coming in here. And I have certain system fields that I might have filled out. Let's just say, I have some system fields in my ERP. Those will automatically be pulled in here as well if you make updates to those in your ERP systems. But one of the nice things here too is if you go over to the right side, you'll notice that I have some unique rollups, right? And we call these rollups attributes, and we call it attribute rollups. And the reason we call that is because an attribute characterizes some sort of dimension. Now the dimension itself is what makes it unique. And so in terms of accounts, it's going to be the account code here. That's what makes an account unique. And I can go over and I can create any number of attributes. So you can see I have rollup level 1, 2, and really this allows me to go and define my own indexes, right? Which one of these accounts are part of the trial balance? Which ones are part of EBITDA, right? And I could fill this out right here. And the nice thing is if I wanted to go and add another roll-up, right? I could certainly do that. I can go back to overview and I'll just show you one other example of this. Let's just say I go to my entity, right? And this is for those of you who are looking at our tool for consolidations. What tends to happen is in a lot of systems like Great Plains, for example, you typically have to flip which company's financials you're looking at. Well, in our system, we assign all of the transactions from each company to a company ID. That's what makes it unique here. So entity, the unique code for that company. You can see mine's Asia, Canada, EMEA, US. And what I can do with this is if I want to present this in a different, sort of roll-up Maybe I want, west versus east or north versus south, based on what my management wants. I could go over here to configurations, and I could either modify the fact set or I can modify the dimension table here. So if I go to dimensions, I could go to entity, I could hit edit here. You can see all of my system fields. Those I can't change, right? I don't have the ability to change those. Those come straight from the system through an integration. But I do have these custom fields, and very simply, right? Or I could say, let's say board rollup. This is coming from my board of directors. They want to see the reports a certain way, and I can go and pick a data type, right? Short text, long text. So typically to do this kind of stuff, right, in a normal database, you would need someone with a little bit of technical experience. It's not, a large amount of code here by any sort of means, but you still need to go into SQL, be able to, create, insert the tables, update the tables, insert the data types. And so, if you don't have access to that or you don't understand how to do that, we've made it very easy for you to just click through a couple of panels and go and create those rollups. So now I can define which ones are my west and which ones are my east. So this might be east, this is going to be east there, and that's west. And so now I can use this either as a label or you're going to see as a filter on any of my reports. Now, one last thing before I leave the data warehouse here is, we have also the ability to take this exact same data. We don't have to just do it in attribute rollups, but we can go and create nice trees as well, right? So you can see I have many different trees. So maybe I have, I purchased lots and lots of companies and I want to track my ownership percentages. I can create different trees to track that. Maybe I have different consolidation trees, right, over time for historical purposes to see, okay, this was included and then we own less and it's not included. Or I can create really simple geography trees such as this, where I go in, I define my structure, and I can use this then to do very easy consolidated reporting when I get to the reporting layer. Okay, so the data warehouse here, in a nutshell, very easy to navigate, just no coding experience required. Click, 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 create what you want, structure your data. And I think if anyone has had experiences, moving to ERPs or going to different reporting systems, you'll know that about 80 to 90% of the work, the 80% is really here. If you have good structured data, it makes the reporting and budgeting of your data very, very easy. Okay. Now, I'm not going to talk too much about this, but there is a currency table and conversion process that's built into our data warehouse. So for those of you that aren't, you do multiple currencies, maybe Canadian euros to US dollars, and you don't want to handle that on the reporting layer where you're doing manual calculations in Excel, or maybe you don't want to use the ERP system because it's too complicated. We have a process in here that we can kick off that'll actually go, you can put in different rate types, you can put in monthly rates, you can even put in daily rates. It'll take those rates, do the calculations, and convert all of your transactions over to both a local and a designated reporting currency, such as US dollars, as an example. All right. Okay, that's it with the data warehouse. Let's get into reporting. So I'm going to click over here to live reporting. Now, what you're going to see here is really an example of what an end user for a company is going to look at when they first log in BI360. So if they're, let's just pretend we're a new hire here, and I come in and I might be a little, shocked. Oh my God, there's so many reports. How am I ever going to figure all of this stuff out? Yes, there's lots of reports in here. This could be your organization's total index of reports. But the nice thing is each user can go and define how they want to view the reports by clicking on them and categorizing them. So you can see over here, you can categorize reports. Over here, you can create your own categories. There's also search bars, other ways to find reports quickly. But the idea is once I categorize them, I can just click on those categories to quickly find, which reports I'm looking for, whether they're control reports, financial reports, part of my monthly analysis, part of consolidations, etc. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's, open up one of these reports. I'll open up a P&L. And, you just click right into it. And the nice thing is it opens up here in this web browser. So again, if you have your phone, tablet, you need to run this report your CFO's asking you questions, or some of your CEOs asking you questions, or an investor, and you're trying to turn your brain off, you forgot to send something out, you can still log in through your phone or tablet as long as you have internet connection and get to your report. So this is an example now of a finished report using BI360. You're going to notice a couple of different things here. One is the inclusion of these parameters. Now, this report was designed by somebody, obviously, and that designers allowed you to basically use these parameters to toggle the different data that you want to see on this report. So for right now, I'm looking at corporate US for 2021-09. I know time flies, before you know it, we'll already be there. Users can actually click into these parameters like entity, and based on their security rights now, it's all based on roles and securities that we assign to each user, but you can go in here and you can toggle to whatever entity that you want to look at. So if I wanted to look at Canada, I can go ahead and use that value and then hit the run button, and this report would go ahead and re-execute, give me the Canadian info. Likewise, I could do that for Asia and EMEA, right, in my presentation database. But let's take a look at this. So if I'm looking at this, high level, everything here looks like Excel, and that's because it is Excel, right? We are proud that we are able to use Excel as the interface and design experience, because quite simply, a lot of the users that we deal with are already familiar with Excel, right? It's almost a requirement this day and age to know how to use a little bit of Excel, whether it's for formatting or formulas. And we incorporate all of that, and you can see here we even have some Excel dashboards built up on top that are looking at the data below. All this data gets pulled in from your database and just renders here in Excel, but we can use the Excel interfaces for everything from formatting, conditional formatting, calculations here, total revenue. Matter of fact, if you look over here, my salaries and benefits, and if I collapse this roll-up actually comes from that data warehouse. That's one of those custom roll-ups we built in. And if I open this up, you can see how I can use Excel to group summary level roll-ups and the detail of the accounts that were mapped to it. All right. Now, a lot of great features in here. One of the nice things too is, I can prove that this is coming from a database, because if I had questions about this year-to-date number, actuals, product revenue, I could always right-click and I can go and do a drill down either to the summary or details. Now I'm going to just do a quick summary level drill down, and you can see it's going to pull up, the different months, its actuals. This is the account I drilled into, which departments it's hitting, and the amounts, and I can see the transactions that are making up that number that I'm looking at in front. Right now, if I did the same thing with the summary level drill down, I would see everything down to the journal entry numbers as well. So you get a lot more detailed financial information that comes up with a detailed drill down. Now, likewise, what I can do is that if I have any questions and there's a logical link, remember there's links between data in terms of dimensions, but I want to see where this product revenue is coming from, I could always right-click and I could do those drill downs to the subledger as well. That's part of BI360, of being able to build your own custom drill downs and being able to drill down to subledgers as well. So I can right-click and see the amounts that are making up my product revenue, which customers it's going to. Likewise, if I go down to payroll, and again, this is all based on security. So if you need to, censor any of this to particular users so they don't see that data, you can certainly do that. But I can right-click on these salary accounts here, and I could go ahead and drill to my payroll, and I could see, who I'm paying to get my payroll expense numbers there, and then likewise anything from the AP side as well. Okay, now all those drill downs are kept here as tabs, and you can see if I rerun the report, all of these would go away. So you can opt to either keep those drill downs there when you execute reports, you can have them go away. It's kind of your options there. All right, we're going to move along here. Now there's a couple of other features. You could export this out to Excel. One of the nice things too is because we are a very great with Excel here, when we download this report, it doesn't just print the numbers in Excel, it actually retains all the formulas, so I can see the variance, what cells make up the variance, what sum formula I use, if there's an if error statement, if there's an if statement somewhere in here. All that is preserved when I download and export this out to Excel. Of course, when I export it, those drill down features are gone. It does disconnect it from your database, but it's great for, let's just say you need to provide this report to an auditor, and you don't want to necessarily give them access to your system, right? You can certainly export this data out. They can see your work, and then they can follow up with any sort of questions. So that's one way to get it out of the system. You can also attach comments here. And if I click on the comment button, there's actually a comment sheet here, and you can see that I could go and attach any sort of templates. Nice thing about this is these are high-level summary comments. So if I type in some comments here and hit save, that follows along with the sheet, and someone else could see the comments that I left in here as well. Right. Now there's the ability to share, and then there's this nice button over here called Send to Archive. This is a really nice feature. Now, this is going to be the same for any other report that we look at, but the idea is once I send these reports to an archive, let's say, CFO wants to see our monthly financials, we're calling a meeting, and he wants to look at this particular report. So I've run it for these parameters, I've vetted it out, I'm ready to basically use it as part of the presentation. I can go ahead and hit Send to Archive here, and that's really for users that don't necessarily need to go into reports, toggle the different parameters, run their own reports. They just look at outputs of reports. So we have what we call an archive user, and those are for folks who can come in here. They can see an archive of all of the reports. You can see I have quite a few that I've opened. Any new ones show up here in blue, kind of like an inbox. But the nice thing is I can go and click on these reports. Let's say I want to look at sales by salesperson and sales by product over here, right? I could click on those two reports. I could hit open. Now these reports are already executed, so you can't change the parameters in them, but it will tell you what it was run for. And I could open those up side by side. So now I see my product year-to-date revenue. I could go to the bottom. I could see the different products we sold. Here's another view of that exact same report, but by the salesperson. And if I'm looking at this, I could look at Elizabeth, say, hey, she did really, really well. Let's go over here to the August month. Looks like that was her best month. And if I have questions, even though this is an archive report, right, point in time, I could right click. I could still do my drill downs into this data. So I can see exactly where the numbers are coming from. So this is great for that CFO who doesn't want to run their own report, but they want to see something specific. They can go to archive. They can open up the report. They can still drill into the data, look at all the information there, get a nice idea of how that report is functioning. Okay, now one other great thing about the archive is, let's say, we're getting ready for that presentation and you're the analyst or the controller who has to actually present. Well, I can click on these reports. I can say add them to a particular playlist. You can go and create your own. But the nice thing is once you've added these to a playlist, those show up over here to the left. And I like to think of my playlist as basically different presentations I can show. So for example, there's my monthly presentation. I could click on it. And when I'm ready, there's that show playlist button. I can click on that button and it opens up very much like a presentation mode. So for those of you that are spending lots and lots of time in PowerPoint and in Excel and taking snippets of reports or putting them in PDFs and printing them out, now you can just have everyone log into the computer, archive it out, have a playlist for them. They can open the playlist and they can see that report, and you could add something like a table of contents to the beginning. Then they could flip through to the next report, like a strategic high-level KPI report, and they can look at the data in there, right? You can go to a revenue dashboard over here, and you can take a look at, how are we doing as a company from a revenues perspective, right? And so all of the kind of information's here. We can do the same thing over here for operating expenses and cash. We're trying to figure out how healthy your company is and how quickly we're burning through our money. We can even have reports in there. And these are all finished BI360 reports that actually exist out there in the live reporting panel. And like Anthony mentioned, we have many, many templates that we could provide to you to get you kind of up and running with really minor modifications to the report. And we could look at this. We could have reports that just show if there's any time there's a big variance and there's a comment left, that could be filtered into a report. and then so forth and so on. So we'll have our balance sheets, P&Ls, etc. Now, the great thing about this is, again, because this is all archive reports, I could always still right click. I could always still drill down into my data. Okay. So very powerful, useful. Now, if you look at the end, there is one of these reports that don't look like the others, and it's in red. And you notice it's called package. That's actually a feature in live reporting. You click on certain reports, add them to a package. But if I click here, take a look, package basically means we can take a group of reports and put them all into one nice workbook. You can run them as one giant workbook. And really, we added the package at the end here because a lot of these are high-level reports, and we want to add the detailed reports at the end in case more questions come up. You can go and say, hey, where's our revenues primarily coming from? Okay, let's look at the products, and we can quickly surmise, okay, a lot of it's coming from reporting, travel expenses, why are we burning cash so quickly, etc. All right, that's it for the archive. And now I want to focus the rest of our attention here on BI360 as a tool for budgeting, forecasting, and all of the nice things that come with it. So what I'm going to do is, typically what happens in a normal organization is we want folks to be able to go and work on a budget, and usually a budget is a very collaborative effort. Some of you guys, it might be, just a small team of 1, 2, or 3 people. But, I think the hope is that eventually you get the budgets out to, your managers, your department heads, so that everyone's involved, and those who are more familiar with running those segments of your organization or business can get involved with more detailed and accurate budgets. So what ends up happening is you'll start here in the workflow. And this is really a tool here. So you have a lot of them that are published out, and I have one that's called draft. I'll open up the draft one. This is a tool to help organize that collaborative back and forth that goes on during a budget cycle. So I'll go ahead, you can create a workflow, you can give it a name, you can give it a from and to date. Let's just say, we start today and we end next week, right? That's the only window that people can put in their budgets. We can select a reviewer, right? It could be me. We can set an approver, my boss, Michael Scott from the office, and we can set up any of the parameters, right? We can go ahead and select the templates that we're adding to this. They'll show all of your budget templates in here. That's coming from the budgeting module there. And I can say which one of these are my payroll. So assumptions, personnel, those are my payroll templates. It comes up with any of the parameters on those templates here. And then the nice thing about it is you can preset those parameters to certain codes. So if I know they're only supposed to budget to this code, particular year, particular company, department, I can go ahead and preset those, or I can let the user decide if they do multiple companies, for example. Likewise, I can let the user decide on budget versions. This is an interesting concept, is we have versioning for budgets and forecasts, really, right? So depending on if this is a budget or forecast, I can have them saved to different codes, and those codes are actually what tags the transaction, so it effectively allows you to have different forecast or budget versions in our tool as well. That's how we control it through these codes. So I can go and pre-select those. I can select the users. Once I'm done, I publish those out. And then what ends up happening is users, when they log in, typically if they're a budget user, they won't see this budgeting panel. They won't see this workflow panel. They'll have maybe live reporting if they run their own reports, but they'll go in, they'll see home, they'll see this assignments tab. They can click into their assignments tab and they'll see any workflows that they're a part of. See this? So one of the workflows in there could be that, I'm a budget manager. I go in here. Okay, I have an assumptions sort of template. I can go ahead and, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and just re-execute that. There's a, this is a template that I might go ahead, look at, and before any budget cycle, just pre-populate with some assumptions that I have, right? This one's particularly made for payroll, but it really can be anything about your business that affects how your business runs. I like to keep all my assumptions in a nice template so I can just see and update it from here, and it gets pushed out to all the other reports. So what I mean by that is anything in yellow here, we can use BI360 to take data. Remember, the data warehouse has all your actuals, right? It has all your historical budgets. And now I can go and create templates like this in Excel enable them to actually write data back. So if I wanted to, I could say, hey, this is 7.5%, this is 850, you know, and when I'm happy, I go ahead and hit the save data button. That pushes directly back into the data warehouse, and any other reports then that I'm looking at automatically get updated. So, you know, this might come first if we're thinking about the from and to date for managers, because they, you know, they go first in the workflow. They added the assumptions, and then anyone else who's working on templates, they can go in here. You know, they might have a template like this personnel workbook that automatically gets updated with the latest and greatest assumptions. All right. And now remember, all this data is getting pulled from a database, and depending on your sources, this is a good example of really a report that we're using that's not just financial in nature, right? That's, you might have stuff coming from ADP or Ultipro or Kronos or whatever payroll system that you're using, or if it's internal, right? We can load all onto the warehouse, report off of it, and then again, anything in yellow here we can update. So for example, if, you know, Joanne, she becomes an executive assistant, I can go ahead and update all of those fields here. I can give her a hire and end month. I could track all of that stuff, and you can see kind of how, you know, BI360 plays with Excel in terms of formats and features. Even drop-down lists with Excel, I can work with that, right? Say, hey, in May she's going to get a 50% increase. We'll go ahead and give her benefits. And I don't know if you caught this, but on the assumptions form we had days per month, so you can see that our salary varies based on how many days per month there are. And then here in May, right, we get that 50% jump, and we can make nice templates like this that combine both the ability to bring in data that you already have with Excel calculations to get really robust payroll models like this, where I can do total comp, taxable income, and hey, take a look. That 7.5% that we saved from the other assumptions form, that's where it comes directly into this form here. That 7.5% updates this entire section with those rates, and I can go all the way over to the right, and you can see, you know, how this kind of cascades down. All right, so that's a great, powerful thing about having an assumptions template. You make the changes there, those get saved to the warehouse, they get pushed to all the other reports, and then we have nice, robust reports. When I save this data gets saved up to a payroll. Down here it gets summarized and saved back to the GL, so you have matches for every one of those expense accounts. Okay, I'm going to show one last example here just to kind of give you an idea of the full suite, but you know, we can go back out over here. I can go back. I can have a other expenses, right? My departmental kind of budgets, but one's called other expense. I could open this one up, and this is really an example where I can see all of my accounts for each department, right? And I can see basically how each one of those reports varies out. And we'll give it a second. All right, there we go. So if we see I have all my accounts over here, I have, you know, I can bring in actuals and forecasts. So right, these are completely customizable. So if you want to do 5-year rolling, 3 years, those are all interchangeable, very easy to do. We have videos on how to build. I encourage you to watch those as well. It's a great experience, all done in Excel. But the idea is, again, I can build these templates out. I can populate these numbers, or there's a tab in here called spreading and line item details. So if I'm in the training section, I could open this up. You know, how many times do I look at my budget and I only see summary numbers and I try to figure out, you know, how did we get to that number? Well, we don't have to deal with that anymore. We could go down to the line item detail level. We can use different spread methods that we have over here. Let's say I want 12,000 evenly spread across the year. I could spread that amount in, and I can go and give it, you know, precisely a name. So I could say this is, for example, BI360 training. And then I could go to this next line over here, and I could change it up and say, you know, I want $15,000. And this time I want to use a seasonal spread. And by the way, you can see I have my own distribution, so you can create your own. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use a seasonal spread. And then, the idea then is you get very detailed budgets in here that basically allow you to see exactly where those summary line item amounts are coming from. So if I spread this 15 across seasonally, I might say this is software training. I might say over here that, this amount 2250, why is it so high? Well, it's based on travel costs, right? So I can go ahead and put a comment. All right, and when I collapse this, takes all those numbers, summarizes it for me, and when I'm done, I can save that data back. All right, now this all comes back together because if I'm in my organization, I want to look at where those workflows are out, how people are progressing through the budget cycle. As a workflow admin, I can go in at any time. I could click on a particular workflow like that department one, and I can go ahead and hit status, and I could go and see exactly where people are. How many are not started, how much are in progress, which ones are completed, so forth and so on. And I didn't show this, but the idea is in those workflows as well. Like if I were to open up any of those reports again, there is a button in there to finish your assignment and mark them as approved. So if I had finished my assignment, that would show up as a status. My boss, Michael Scott, if he was happy with it, he can mark it as marked as approved. That would show up as a status as well. And likewise, if there's any sort of questions before I finish my assignment, let's say I'm not exactly sure where some of my expenses are supposed to go, you can see there's an activity log over here to the right that I can use during the workflow process, and that really just opens up and shows exactly what's been going on in terms of dialogue, right? Was there, when did I start the assignment? And, if I have any questions about the particular expenses that I was running during that time. Okay, like, hey, I'm going to add some office supply expenses. Are there any that you know of, etc.? And this could be a back and forth dialogue with your boss. Okay.
All right, Amir, you have covered a lot.
All right. Yeah.
I appreciate it. I want to keep this flow going. Amir, thanks for the fantastic tour of the details, the actual products through BI360. So let's see here. And I hope everyone now can see my screen. Yep. All right. So let me just keep this going. I see we've already got a handful of questions, and I just want to cover a couple more things and then get to some questions here before we wrap up. I want to show you, this is, of course, BI360 Solver's website, solverglobal.com. There's all kinds of information here, videos here. And I know SIS, they keep recordings of our webinars. They'll have a reference where you can go and watch this again, share it with your associates. A couple things here, though, I want to show you. We have a very rich customer support portal where we have, like Amir was showing you, so many examples. You saw a fraction of the examples. But we have everything we have, all of our models. You didn't even see all of our industry models, but we have different industry models and examples for reports, budgets. And all of these can be downloaded via zip file. So there may be some big package of reports depending on what your needs are. They're all here. They probably, as Amir mentioned, need some tweaking, some adjustments to your chart of accounts, but these are for quick start. Of course, you can build your reports from scratch. You could replicate the current reports that you have because, again, the design is Excel. That is where the reports are designed. Okay, so we have all of these things. We have white papers, user guides, install docs. You can open tickets, check status of tickets here. We have a big library of videos, again, by subject, high quality videos that, so you can search and go at a much slower pace than, let's say, we've been going today, that will walk you through exactly how to build so many different reports. There's an option. We also, this is important for you to know, we have an annual user conference called Focus. I'm sorry, I clicked the wrong button. Let's go back here. focus is our annual user conference. And again, our application BI360 could become very important to you as a customer, and you have the opportunity to come out annually or as often as you'd like and attend this user conference. We have hundreds of customers there. You will meet us in person. We'll have management on our development team there, our executives, certainly salespeople. Amir and I are always there. Support people, we typically have a live support station there, consultants, and it's a very rich agenda for the different days. We typically have training that'll lead into it, but there's knowledge tracks from beginner to advanced, and it usually runs, let's see, Wednesday and a Thursday. So these are 45-minute to 1-hour sessions that cover so many aspects of BI360 reporting, budgeting, best practices, and our product roadmap always going forward. This is available. You can attend this. Our customers pay up to $1,500 for the 2 days. It's very rich what's involved, and there's dinners and a lot of activities involved. We have early bird discounts, so usually customers get it. They register a lot earlier and save a lot of money. But for prospective customers, if you're interested in coming, I can send you an invite that will let you come for the first day of the conference at no cost, no fee. You just this will be in Huntington Beach, California, here coming up in 2 weeks. This is available to you. Okay, and then Solver Academy. Quickly, I want to mention this and show you this before we'll try to cover the questions. If we can't cover all the questions, we'll follow up. We can email those out. Solver Academy was just announced a couple months ago. It's very exciting. This is now guided training, guided online training with testing. It's an annual subscription. And so it works you through methodically all the different skills you need to build various reports, from the basic to advanced, including budgeting. All available as an annual subscription. And this is growing and growing all the time. So Solver Academy is pretty exciting. All right, and that's just one of our many training options. Usually customers, when they implement, 90% of customers will get some on-site training with a trainer and maybe some workshop. But we have Solver Academy. I showed you the videos. We also do remote training, and periodically throughout the year, there's even regional trainings that go on in different cities. All right, so I see a handful of questions. Here's one. What are the system requirements? Okay, well, when it comes to the cloud, BI360 is hosted in Azure, Microsoft Azure, and there are no system requirements. It's all hosted by Solver. We support it all. But your power users do need to have Excel 2013 or above. So when they go to edit or create a new report, they'll need to download that. For the on-site 5.0 version, we haven't released the system requirements. That's due to be released end of the month, and we just haven't published that. But for those who are interested, if you need more information, we could send you the 4.7, the current system requirements. We could send that out. All right, I covered one of the questions here about training options, so that was covered. Can an end user manage the data warehouse? Well, Amir was showing you that you, the end user, that's not us doing it for you. That's you, your administrator or power user, your leads, that can go in and organize and edit and manage the data warehouse. That's all done through a browser. Okay, here's one I'm going to try to cover. This looks like it could be a big, expensive solution. Do you have any scale down options? Okay, we were showing off and showing you the power of BI360 and how it can scale. But BI360 can be a solution for one user, for a couple users, for an organization that just needs to do a general ledger budgeting. This solution scales to suit, and likewise pricing scales to suit. When it comes to pricing and the marketplace, I'm not aware of us ever not losing a customer, not being able to bring in a new customer because of our pricing. So I can tell you we're very, very competitive. Okay, so we've come up on the top of the hour, Dan. I know that this has been recorded. It's very, we're very excited to make this presentation. And I don't know if Dan has further comments, probably not. But as you can see, what is your next step? If you have more questions, send them in. We'll respond. We can do custom demos for you. And what you should do is reach out to Debbie Peavy, and probably many or all of you know Debbie, but here's her contact information.
Thank you, Anthony.
All right.
Thank you for your time this afternoon. And everybody, have a great day, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.